This city has everything. About 500 sparkling white marble buildings covering over 4.5 million square meters. A fountain complex with 27 synchronized jets so big that it earned a Guinness World Record for the most fountain jets in a public place. A $2.3 billion airport shaped like a giant falcon that can handle 14 million passengers a year, and a massive indoor ice arena that seats 10,300 people, built right in the middle of a blazing desert. Not forgetting the 49-foot-tall gold-plated statue of the former president, Saparmurat Niyazov, standing tall in the city. This city has everything apart from people. Now the question is, why would a government spend as much as $15 billion on the construction of a mega city no one was going to live in? Sounds weird, right? This is Ashgabat, the capital of Turkmenistan, a city rebuilt from the ruins of a devastating earthquake. But here's the odd part. Those huge streets are silent, and the fancy apartments sit empty. So why dump all that cash into a place that looks like a ghost town? Let's figure out what's going on. To do that, we have to go back to the beginning. It's October 6th, 1948, and Ashgabat is just a small town in Soviet Turkmenistan. Houses are made of mud bricks, streets are full of dirt, with maybe a few carts rolling around. Nothing fancy at all. Then, at 1:12 a.m., a 7.3 magnitude earthquake hits the town. Everything falls down in minutes. Roofs cave in and walls break apart as the ground shakes tremendously. About 110,000 people, 2/3 of the town's population, are buried under piles of rubble. The survivors dig with their hands, and the city is wrecked, a shadow of its former state. But the Soviets don't sit around for too long. By the 1950s, they show up with concrete and machines ready to fix it. They make the streets super wide, so wide that like 10 cars could park across them. They also put up around 200 boxy houses, enough for 50,000 people to squeeze into, all gray and boring. Each one with 4 rooms with windows that barely open. They add 50 water pumps, 10 schools with 500 kids each, and 5 little stores selling bread. That's just about everything. It's not about looking nice, it's about getting things working again. Ashgabat remained like that for years. Beat up, simple, and kind of boring. A town full of scars, but standing, as its citizens get by with what they have. Nothing special, just a quiet spot in the desert. All that was about to change. On October 27, 1991, following a nationwide referendum, Turkmenistan gained independence from the Soviet Union. Saparmurat Niyazov, the former Communist Party leader, became the country's first president. He's got tons of money from gas, as Turkmenistan has some of the largest natural gas reserves in the world, around 13.4 trillion cubic meters, making it the 4th largest in the world. The country pumps out around 80 billion cubic meters of gas annually, a massive income that's fueled the government's extravagant spending. With all that cash, Niyazov decides to transform Ashgabat into one of the most beautiful cities in the world, which in a way isn't the worst idea. It's just the way he did it. They immediately start building, but it's not the normal stuff. First, Niyazov is obsessed with white marble. They constructed 543 buildings covered in white marble, all imported from Italy. In total, that's about 4.5 million square meters of shiny stone, which is like 1,000 football fields laid flat. If you walk around the city on a sunny day, the place is so bright it would leave you squinting all day like the city is one big mirror. He doesn't stop there. Fountains are next, and they're also over the top. Near the Augustkent Hotel, they put in 27 water jets that shoot up to 60 feet, covering 125,000 square meters. They're so big that they earned a Guinness World Record for the most fountain jets in a public place. At night, 50 lights turn on, red, blue, green, yellow, making the water look like a dancing rainbow. To keep the fountain running, they pump in 10,000 gallons of water a minute, enough to fill 20 bathtubs every second. Given that Turkmenistan is located in a desert where it rains maybe 10 times a year, the fountains, which took 2 years and about 200 workers to construct, feel somewhat unnecessary. But that's not all. Niyazov decides he needs to be immortalized, so he builds a 49-foot-tall gold statue of himself, perched on a 246-foot arch in the middle of town. It spins all day, with one turn every 24 hours. An idea that was obviously inspired by the movement of the sun. For the statue, they used 20 pounds of gold paint, 50 tons of steel, and 100 bolts to hold it up. It's got 10 lights shining on it at night, making it glow for miles around. Niyazov called himself Turkmenbashi, leader of the Turkmens, and this expensive city is his big show. Niyazov dies in 2006, and Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov steps up to become the country's leader. But he doesn't slow down. He makes it even bigger. They build a magnificent airport for $2.3 billion, shaped like a falcon with wings 320 feet wide. The airport has the capacity to handle 14 million passengers a year, with 72 check-in desks, 30 gates, and a tower 65 feet tall. The airport has 10 big screens showing flights, 50 benches, and 20 snack stands, all waiting. Unfortunately, only about 100,000 people show up annually. There's also a 12,000 square meter ice arena with 10,300 seats in the Karakum Desert. The arena's rink is kept at -5 degrees with 20 coolers pumping cold air. There's a running track above it, 400 feet long, circling 10 times around. It's like they thought everyone's coming, but no one did. They even built a $5 billion Olympic village with 50 buildings, a stadium with 12,000 seats, 20 practice fields, 10 pools, and 5 gyms, all for a country that has never really made a mark in the Olympics. Every corner of this city is big, shiny, and perhaps way too much. It would, however, surprise you to know that 1 million people live in Ashgabat, but they're all out in the suburbs, which are plain and normal. The middle of the city, where the $15 billion went? It's completely dead. People call it the City of the Dead, and one can see why. You're on a street with 10 lanes and 3,000 lamps, and it's just you and the wind. But why is this city still empty? It's simple. Niyazov didn't build the city for people, he built it for himself. Gas brings $10 billion a year, and he spent it to show off. He tore down thousands of old houses, pushed people out, and built a city they couldn't afford to live in. Rents are in the thousands a month, and most people make only about $500 if they're lucky. So, what about tourists? Well, they hardly ever come here. Ashgabat gets just about 14,000 tourists a year. In comparison, Dubai gets 17 million. The rules here are so tough, tourists would rather stay away. Obtaining a visa can be challenging, with strict requirements and limited issuance. The authoritarian government tightly controls the media and monitors citizens' and tourists' activities, limiting their freedom to explore. Tourists must adhere to strict rules, such as being accompanied by a guide at all times. The country has also faced criticism for its human rights record. Cars must be white. Police stop you for walking. At least 500 of them are out daily. Ashgabat is not a city. It is a picture. Niyazov's face is on about 1,000 signs. The people? They're outside, staring at a $15 billion city that's way too expensive for them. But was it worth it? For the political class, yeah. Lots of gold statues and big records. For everyone else, no. They're in the suburbs, looking at a city they can't touch. Vegas made desert fun. Ashgabat made one quiet. Gas might stop. 40 billion cubic feet could drop, and it's already started. The 543 marble buildings need 10,000 hours of cleaning a year. Some have even started to crack. Ashgabat might remain the desert country show, or it might fall like the mud houses. Either way, $15 billion built a mega city and a ghost town. So, what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.